my channel. So in this video I'm gonna talk about the things that I hate about OT. So you're gonna get all the juices, all the things that OTs usually don't really talk about, but these are the things that me and my friends have talked about in the past. And yeah, it is real. Like, sometimes it is so easy for us to think about the positive things in a job, especially when you're really new to a job. You might fantasize what a job is like until you actually experience it. You see both sides of a job. So I'm not saying that I hate OT overall, but there are things that are definitely challenging about the profession, and I would love to share it with you so you can make your decision. But I'm just saying that this is my opinion based on my experience and also my friends' experience or people in the field. So yeah, if you enjoy this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Let's get started. So the first one is that we can't work from home, and we don't have the flexibility to be like, no, I'm not going to work today. So unless you're a business owner, but even business owners I feel like have to work most days, we can't just be like, today I'm just going to stay at home and work. Because we are a front-facing profession, we need to be able to be there and see the person that we are treating or providing therapy for. So yes, sometimes I personally want to just stay at home, have my coffee and sleep in and exercise during my breaks and make my lunches, like eggs on toast, things like that you can't really have at work. Yeah, there's days when I do want to do that, and I'm saying like I see lots of people in tech that have that pleasure and ability to go to a cafe and work, but yes, as an OT we don't really get that option. But I know there's jobs out there where you can work mobile and you can go to a cafe and do your notes there. But as a pediatric OT, we mainly are working in the clinic. So we don't really have time to go to a cafe and things like that. And I think with my job I'm also a bit mobile, so sometimes I just work in my car and do my notes in my car, so that kind of gives me some like time to be away from the clinic. So yeah, it really depends on your job as well. But yes, that flexibility is sometimes not there, especially if you're working at a hospital and doing inpatient. Yeah, so you're mainly in the hospital all day, so really consider like what type of lifestyle you want, especially when you're at work. Yeah, another thing is, this is something that a lot of people have been asking me, whether OT is a physically demanding job, and I would say yes and no. So it's personally for me, it has always been quite physically demanding because I work in pediatrics, so we do like lift kids sometimes. But as I have more experience, I kind of learn to ask parents to do it, because I know that they're the ones that are with the kid most of the time, so they need to learn how to safely handle their kid and do all of these exercises. So maybe I will do it once and then they can do it with their kid, especially if the kid is quite heavy. I don't really recommend lifting them or trying to, but sometimes I just feel like in the moment I have to do it, so I do. But I'm really careful about that now, because I had one incident where I started to have a back ache and like between my shoulder blades, and it was really bad to the point that every time I bend over it would really hurt. So I definitely recommend not lifting kids if you can, especially if they are older and they can get into things themselves. Try to use equipments around you that are safe rather than lifting them. If they're smaller, that it's much easier to carry them. But I think if you're doing it every day and back to back-to-back sessions, it's going to put a lot of strain on your shoulders. So I don't think any OTs I've seen stretch their muscles in the morning, but I know some OTs might like, you know, exercise in the morning. But I definitely recommend you have some sort of routine in the morning or at nighttime and stretch out your muscles, and make sure that you're also working on strengthening those muscles too. But yeah, I think in terms of physically demanding, there are jobs, I know in aged care people used to have to massage older people, but I don't think it is as prevalent now. But and also another physically demanding thing is that when you're doing transfers, although you're not lifting them, you're still, like, if they fall on you or lean on you, you still have to use your strength. So, and then carrying equipments as well, so that's another thing. So it really depends on how many people you see that day and the clientele and whether they need you to physically assist them. But yes, it's a yes and a no. Another thing is that it can be emotionally draining. So no matter what field you work in, so I worked in pediatrics, also youth mental health, and I also did a bit of adult in uni. So it is emotionally draining if you are an empath, or you are a new grad who hasn't really developed that coping strategy of like not taking work home and not taking each person's story too personally and attaching your emotions too much into it. So for me, like, I am naturally a fairly like sensitive person, so I do sometimes bring work home or take things personally in a way, so I can feel emotionally drained. So what I do is I try to journal down my thoughts, or sometimes record myself talking and just like let out all my emotions instead of like going to a family or friends and like ranting. I think that helps if they're ready for it, but sometimes you don't really want to hear the negativity from a friend. So yeah, I also went to therapy quite a bit, so that has helped me a lot with expressing my emotions, and having a supervisor as well who is there to hear your frustrations can be really helpful. So yeah, I'm saying things that I hate about OT, but there's always solutions on how to cope with the challenges. So the next one is, okay, so the next one, it kind of ties in hand with supervision. So as an OT, you are constantly being evaluated for your like performance. So because we are evidence-based practice, we're always constantly evaluating our practice, doing professional development, so making sure that we're reaching the standards of practice. So yes, I constantly feel like I am being critiqued, and it's like whether I am, if my clinical skills, clinical reasoning is strong, whether I'm writing my reports or documentations right, or emails or anything. So yes, if you don't like being told to recorrect things and being critiqued, then maybe this is not the profession for you. It still gets me even today, like when I get some sort of feedback, because I think it really depends on your upbringing and personality. Because for me, like, I had to really learn the growth mindset and not take things too personally. I think growing up, I really felt like I was always told off, and it wasn't helpful critiques. It was more like just pure, like, what do you call it, judgment. So I think growing up, like, I really didn't know the difference between judgment, like someone judging you, and someone just giving you critical feedback. So yeah, I'm still learning how to not take it personally and don't get upset with myself. So yeah, this is definitely something that can also add on to the emotional load. The next thing is difficult clients. So when you're working with anyone, I think even when you're working in other front-facing jobs, you're always dealing with like conflict or complaints. So I remember my ever first job, and I had difficult clients and clients who literally wanted to see my senior instead of me because they saw me and they're like, oh, she's new, I want someone who is a senior, and not even giving me the chance to not prove, but even show like how I can help them, and just saying, no, I don't want you. And I think their attitude towards me was quite rude, and that as a therapist, you of course get affected by it. But I think my ability to show that I was a good therapist to their child and he made lots of progress, they started to respect me. But that was when I left the job. So I think difficult clients can really make your day a bad day. But what helped me is that I focused on the clients that appreciated my efforts, even if I'm not a perfect therapist as any human being. I think having clients that appreciate you is so important, but there will be times when your sanity will be tested, your patience will be tested with when you work with kids, like parents, or I think particularly parents. I think teachers are usually quite pleasant, but yeah, like I think your patience will definitely get tested. Also, okay, another thing I hate about OT is the ineffective healthcare system. So working in pediatrics, we do work with the NDIS, which is a national disability insurance scheme that allows people in the community to access to allied health services like OT. And if a child doesn't have a diagnosis when they pass the age of 7, they will really find it hard to get any funding and access to services. And this makes me so frustrated because there are kids out there, or teenagers, or even adults out there who don't have a diagnosis that is recognized as a disability. So ADHD is one. So if you just purely have ADHD, you don't get funding, and dyslexia as well. So I feel like NDIS doesn't really understand these conditions, and they also don't respect OTs as a career, because when we're talking about sensory processing, yes, they don't understand it. So what helps is like linking it to function and daily life can help you with the funding part. I think just the lack of funding and seeing parents stressed about not affording to go to therapy, especially at the beginning of their therapy journey, really frustrates me. And it's so expensive to go to a T. Like one session is already close to $200. Imagine you are feeding your kid, like you have 3 kids even, and you can't even afford your food because you get paid for therapy, like scratch therapy, like can't even afford food on the table. So this is something that I'm very passionate about, but I still yet know the answers because it's not really my duty I don't have the power, I guess, to change this system. But yeah, if you work with NDIS, or you have the power to change this, please help us, because it makes it so hard for therapists to work in this system when we constantly feel like the money is so limited and we feel so bad. Like, I just wish that we live in a ideal world where healthcare is free, seriously, and the government pays for all of it, and therapists can get the money, like, for helping, So yeah, I just don't like us. The other thing that I hate about OT is the matter report writing and documentation that you need to do. So personally, I do not like writing things, especially when it comes to report writing and things like that. So I know it's really important as OTs to be good at writing and to really convey your message through writing. So this is something that I'm still working on. I am more of a, I would say, I like to talk more than write. Yeah, so I personally don't like to spend a lot of time doing these stuff like documentation, but this is much needed. If you love writing, like, I feel like writing is so broad because some people like creative writing. Like, I like journaling, but I don't like when there's like strict structure to it. So yeah, so another thing that I hate about OT is that I can't just turn off, meaning that I can't just, if I'm having a bad day, I can't just like be sad the whole day. Like, when you're seeing people, you have to pretend that you're happy, especially if you're working with kids, so they can read your energy, and also parents. So I can't just come into work and, you know, wear a hoodie and just stick to my computer and just do my work. I have to make sure that I'm presentable and I am like not looking like I am like my soul is sucked out of me kind of thing. And I can't be like coming in and be like, hi, I'm Cindy, I'm an OT. Like, you know, like it's still a customer service type of job. So yeah, I think sometimes I just want to go to work and just like not talk to people and just do stuff on the computer or like something else. Days where I just don't need to think too hard or manage someone's emotions. But yeah, that's the thing, that especially when you're having a rough time in your personal life. But yeah, I think that's why a lot of people would recommend a mental health day. It's just to really take a day off just for yourself so you can have a better day with your clients. So another thing, this is a juicy one, the salary. So another thing I hate about OT is sometimes the salary is unreasonable. What I'm saying is, like, some people get paid like less than 50k or 60k, and then there's people who are paid like 100k plus. So there is such a mismatch in terms of how much companies pay for an OT, and I think it really depends on whether there's an experienced OT on the team, how much support you're getting, other benefits you're getting. So I would say that OTs as a whole, we don't get as many benefits from the government, like free things like free gym memberships or healthcare. Like, we don't really get that. Even tax salary packaging, like not every job has that, like private sector. Only government and non-for-profit organizations get that tax salary packaging. So I would love for OTs, no matter which sector you work in, to get benefits, and for our salary to be more regulated, and instead of like one person getting like really low and someone getting really high. It's just like unreasonable for me. And I think especially in pediatrics, like, we work so hard, but I feel like our salary is not as high like as a doctor, for example. So I feel like everyone talks about salary these days, and they think about, oh yeah, because in order to be a doctor you need to go through all this schooling, and you know how expensive that is. But to be honest, my HEC step is pretty high, and I think also it's because I went abroad and did volunteering. But I think, yeah, like, I feel like health professionals should get a pay rise every year, and we should at least be paid 90k up, with the amount of work, emotional and physical strain that we go through. I think particularly teachers and nurses need to get paid more. But I think, yeah, I don't want to complain too much, and I want to be grateful, but at the same time, like, the disparity between people's income is just awful. Another thing, this is the last thing that I'm going to say. The last thing that I hate about OT is the career progression. So we all know that for OTs, our career progression is pretty self-explanatory. So you just end up being like a supervisor, like a team lead, or if you want to own your own business. But there isn't really a lot in terms of like other avenues you can get promoted into. So like I'm thinking of like, also if you have a lot of experience, can you get into research, or can you get into health management? So like it's actually not that common for every experienced OT to enter into different types of roles outside of OT or progress that much. So there is a cap to it. I think that's something that you need to be aware of too. I personally like to know that my career can lead me to a point where I have more flexibility with my time, and I can do a bit of like back end of things. But I think OT, I think it's a fairly fresh profession, I would say. Not extremely fresh, but I would say in Australia it's not like fully like established than like, for example, like Canada, America, or maybe UK, I'm not too sure. But yeah, so I would say like I'm still, maybe it's just me, maybe I haven't really talked to that many OTs to know what other avenues OT, more like senior OTs can like get into. But yeah, if you are a senior OT, please let me know like what is like the career progression like for OTs, because this fellow OT would like to know. But yeah, hope you guys are not turned off by any of these things. If you are, then I guess talk about this with other OTs and see for yourself, like try it, and if it's not for you, it's okay, because I know there's plenty of people who have dropped out of OT or changed to a completely different field after doing OT for a bit because it wasn't for them. But there's other OTs where every day they're like, I love my job. So it really depends on you, and I personally can't promise that I will stay in OT forever, because you know, life is so unpredictable. So I think for now I'm happy to be in OT, and I think doing things outside of work has also given me joy as well. So yeah, I feel like do you, and talk to different people, and I hope this video was somewhat helpful so you can get some insight into one OT's experience. If you enjoy these types of videos, please give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. It would really help me a lot to reach out to other OTs out there. I am not saying I'm an expert in this field or anything, it's just based on my personal experience. So yeah, I'm really happy that you guys are supporting me on this channel. I really hear you guys and see every single person as you know, as a person. So if you have anything that you want to ask me, please put it in the comments down below, or you can even DM me on my Instagram page, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.